When people imagine a pirate, they usually picture a rugged European captain with a beard, a ship full of treasure, and a small crew terrorizing trade routes. But history tells a far more extraordinary story. The most powerful pirate who ever lived was not a man, she was a woman. Her name was Ching Shih, also known as Zhang Yi Sao, and she commanded one of the largest pirate fleets in history. At the height of her power, she controlled hundreds of ships, led over 70,000 pirates, defeated major naval forces, and dominated the South China Sea. Even more remarkable, she eventually negotiated her retirement from piracy and lived peacefully for the rest of her life. Her journey from poverty to absolute maritime dominance remains one of history's most fascinating stories of power, strategy, and survival. A humble beginning in southern China. Very little is known about Ching Shih's early life. Historians believe she was born around 1775 in Guangdong Province in southern China. Even her real name remains uncertain. Most records refer to her simply as Zheng's wife or Zheng's widow, reflecting the limited documentation of her origins. She likely grew up in extreme poverty, possibly in a family of fishermen or farmers struggling to survive. Southern China at the time faced severe population pressure, economic hardship, and social instability. Many people lacked sufficient land or employment opportunities, forcing them to seek alternative ways to survive, sometimes through illegal activities such as smuggling or piracy. By her early adulthood, Ching Shih was working in a floating brothel in the port city of Canton, modern Guangzhou. These establishments catered to wealthy merchants and sailors, offering entertainment and companionship. However, she was not merely known for her beauty. Historical accounts describe her as intelligent, persuasive, and exceptionally perceptive, qualities that would later define her leadership. Marriage to a pirate commander. Around 1801, her life changed dramatically when she encountered Zheng Yi, one of the most powerful pirate commanders operating in the South China Sea. Accounts differ on how they met. Some stories claim he fell in love with her intelligence and charm, while others suggest he captured her during a raid. Regardless of the circumstances, their partnership was unconventional. Ching Shih agreed to marry Zheng Yi on one condition: she would share his authority and participate actively in decision-making. Instead of remaining a passive spouse, she demanded a leadership role within his pirate organization. Zheng Yi accepted. Together, they formed an extraordinarily effective partnership. They reorganized scattered pirate groups into a unified confederation of fleets, strengthening their influence across southern Chinese waters. Their alliance marked the beginning of one of history's most formidable maritime forces. During this period, the couple also adopted a young fisherman named Zhang Bao, who later became an important naval commander and eventually Ching Shih's husband after Zhang Yi's death. The rise of a pirate empire. The early 19th century provided ideal conditions for piracy in southern China. The Qing dynasty faced internal rebellions, weak regional governance, and insufficient naval resources. Local authorities struggled to maintain order, allowing pirate organizations to flourish. Under Zhang Yi's leadership, and increasingly under Ching Shih's strategic guidance, pirate groups merged into a large alliance divided into fleets distinguished by colored flags: red, black, blue, green, yellow, and white. The Red Flag Fleet, the most powerful, eventually controlled hundreds of ships and tens of thousands of fighters. By 1804, their combined forces resembled a naval superpower rather than a criminal network. They attacked merchant vessels, controlled trade routes, and even challenged imperial warships. But this was only the beginning. From pirate's wife to supreme commander. In 1807, Zhang Yi died unexpectedly, possibly during a storm at sea. According to traditional expectations, his widow should have retired quietly from public life. Instead, Ching Shih did the opposite. She swiftly secured the loyalty of key pirate leaders and formed an alliance with Zhang Bao, her adopted son and one of the fleet's most capable commanders. Their partnership, both political and personal, helped stabilize the organization and strengthen her authority. Through diplomacy, strategic marriages, and careful negotiations, she successfully took full control of the pirate confederation. Few leaders in history have seized power so quickly and effectively. Law and order at sea. Ching Shih understood that controlling tens of thousands of pirates required discipline. She introduced a strict legal code that enforced absolute obedience and maintained order within her vast fleet. Her rules were ruthless. Disobeying orders or acting independently resulted in immediate execution. All loot from raids had to be registered and distributed through official channels. Crews kept only a portion, while the rest went into a shared fund. Theft from communal resources was punishable by death. Female captives were protected from violence, and sexual assault was strictly forbidden. Pirates who married captive women were required to remain faithful. Villages that supported the fleet were not to be harmed. Desertion resulted in severe punishment. These regulations transformed her pirates into a disciplined and highly organized force, more structured than many official navies of the time. A criminal empire beyond piracy. Ching Shih's ambitions extended far beyond raiding ships. She built a sophisticated economic system that resembled a government. Her fleet dominated the salt trade, one of the most profitable industries in southern China. Instead of simply stealing salt shipments, she forced captured merchants to continue transporting goods under her supervision, collecting profits and controlling distribution. She also established a protection network. Merchants, fishermen, and coastal communities paid fees in exchange for safe passage and protection from attack. Financial offices along the coast issued documents guaranteeing security, and the revenue funded weapons and fleet expansion. Additionally, she maintained an intelligence network consisting of fishermen, villagers, bandits, and corrupt officials who supplied information about potential targets and enemy movements. Her organization operated like a maritime state, complete with taxation, trade regulation, and military enforcement. Military power and naval dominance. At its peak, Ching Shih's fleet controlled vast regions of the South China Sea. Her ships attacked coastal towns, destroyed government vessels, and defeated multiple imperial naval forces. The Qing dynasty repeatedly attempted to suppress her fleet, but suffered devastating losses. Several commanders were killed, and numerous ships were destroyed. Her forces used coordinated formations, overwhelming artillery attacks, and amphibious assaults to defeat enemies. Foreign powers also became targets. Her fleet attacked ships belonging to Portugal, Britain's East India Company, and other international traders. These actions eventually forced the Chinese government to seek assistance from Western naval forces. However, even combined efforts struggled to defeat her organization. The strategic decision to surrender. By 1810, growing pressure from Chinese and foreign forces, along with internal conflicts within the Pirate Confederation, began threatening the stability of her empire. Rather than risk destruction, Ching Shih made a calculated decision. She chose negotiation. In a remarkable display of confidence, she personally met Qing officials to propose a deal. She agreed to surrender most of her fleet in exchange for full amnesty for herself and her followers, official government positions for key leaders, and permission to retain a small private fleet. After intense negotiations, the government accepted. This outcome was extraordinary. Few pirate leaders in history successfully negotiated retirement on such favorable terms. A peaceful life after piracy. Following the agreement, Zhang Bao joined the Imperial Navy and served as a respected officer. Ching Shih transitioned into civilian life, investing in legal businesses including the salt trade and gambling establishments. She eventually returned to Canton, where she lived comfortably and raised her family. Unlike most pirates who died in battle or execution, she lived to old age and reportedly died peacefully around 1844. Her story represents one of the rare cases where a pirate not only survived but prospered after a life of crime. Legacy of the Pirate Queen. Ching Shih's legacy is extraordinary. She rose from poverty to command one of the most powerful fleets in history, challenged empires, and reshaped the structure of maritime crime. She demonstrated exceptional leadership, economic vision, and political intelligence in a world dominated by men. Her ability to build and control a vast organization, enforce strict discipline, and negotiate a peaceful retirement reveals a strategic mind far ahead of her time. Some view her as a ruthless criminal responsible for violence and exploitation. Others see her as a symbol of ambition, resilience, and female empowerment in a restrictive society. What cannot be denied is her impact. She was not simply a pirate, she was a commander, strategist, entrepreneur, and political negotiator. And in the turbulent waters of history, few have ruled the seas as completely as Ching Shih. She didn't just survive piracy, she beat it, rewrote the rules, and walked away on her own terms. So was Ching Shih a ruthless crime boss, or one of history's smartest strategists? If you want to be smarter every day, like and subscribe.